at a time when electoral integrity remains a national conversation. From vacuum to verdict, this transition tells a deeper story of continuity, accountability, and the search for steady leadership. With interim appointments stepping in and reform processes underway, EBC is attempting to move from uncertainty towards clarity, from questions about who is in charge to decisions that will shape future elections. This is a moment that will test the resilience of the Commission and to determine whether it can emerge stronger, more transparent, and prepared for the road ahead. This is Iebc Transition from Vacuum to Verdict with me, Jeffrey Kimaiyu Somba. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is not just another state agency. It is the referee of Kenya's democracy, and every election outcome, every peaceful transition or disputed one, rests heavily on public confidence in this institution. When Iebc stumbles, the country fails it. When it stabilizes, democracy breathes easier. As Kenya edges closer to the 2027 general election, IEBC has once again found itself under a harsh national spotlight, this time following a dramatic leadership transition that culminated in the premature exit of its Chief Executive Officer, Marjan Hussein Marjan, after a crisis meeting of commissioners. And the vacuum before the appointment of the current leadership, IEBC existed in a prolonged state of uncertainty, and for more than 2 years, the Commission lacked a substantive chairperson and a full team of commissioners. Key decisions were either delayed or handled cautiously as the Secretariat ran the institution in a holding pattern. This leadership vacuum weakened public confidence and slowed critical electoral preparations, including voter registration, by-elections, and boundary review planning. Political actors openly questioned whether IEBC was capable of delivering another credible national election and a new beginning where Erastus Ethekon, the appointment of Erastus Edung Ethekon as IEBC chairperson was therefore framed as a reset moment. His nomination and subsequent swearing in mid-2025 symbolized the end of institutional paralysis. Ethekon came in with a reformist image promising professionalism, transparency, and calm leadership. Alongside him were 6 newly appointed commissioners, finally restoring the commission to full constitutional strength. Now, early promises and public expectations end. In his early public addresses, Chairperson Ethekon struck a reassurance tone. He pledged that every Kenyan vote would count and that the IEBC would prepare early for the 2027 elections to avoid last-minute chaos, and the public, civil society, and political players cautiously welcomed the new team, but expectations were high. IEBC was no longer being judged on promises but on delivery. Now the Secretariat, power behind the scenes while commissioners set policy. The day-to-day operations of IEBC lie with the Secretariat. At its helm was Marjan Hussein Marjan, the CEO and Commission Secretary. Marjan was not new to IEBC. It served in various serious roles over more than a decade and had steered the institution through periods of crisis, including times when no commissioners were in office. His institutional memory made him both influential and indispensable. And now we're looking at the coexistence and the new commission or management. And when Ethekon and the new commissioners took office, Marjan remained in position. Initially, the working relationship appeared stable. The CEO briefed commissioners, implemented risk solutions, and continued managing procurement, staffing, and electoral planning. But beneath the surface, differences in leadership style and expectations began to emerge. And now we're looking at the pressure point one, where procurement and technology, one of the earliest fault lines involved procurement, particularly election technology. Decisions relating to electronic voter identification kits, maintenance contracts, and legacy suppliers triggered debate. Some commissioners and external critics questioned whether procurement decisions made before the new commission's arrival had adequate oversight. 2 others argued continuity was necessary to avoid disrupting elections preparations, and the Smartmatic shadow and the Smartmatic contract linked to election technology became a recurring source of controversy, where lawmakers and political actors alleged irregular extensions and questioned whether the CEO had exceeded his authority. And although no court had conclusively ruled against Marjan at that stage, the controversy added pressure on both the Secretariat and the Commission, and then the funding delays and reality checks. IEBC also faced severe funding constraints, where planned voter registration drives and by-elections were delayed due to budget shortfalls. Chairperson Ethekon publicly acknowledged these challenges, warning that electoral timelines could be affected unless Treasury support improved. This contour was praised by some and criticized by others as lowering confidence. Then the boundary review bomb. And perhaps the most consequential announcement came when IEBC stated that boundary delimitation would not be completed before the 2027 elections, citing lack of funds and time. The declaration triggered national debate. Critics warned of constitutional implications, where while supporters argued that forcing a rushed review could be even more dangerous. Then we're looking at the internal strains, and this became visible as external pressures mounted, internal tensions with IEBC intensified. Sources described strained meetings between commissioners and the Secretariat over performance, communication, and decision-making authority. The question quietly circulating inside advisory towers was no longer if changes were coming, but how. Then the crisis meetings, and in late January 2026, a series of crisis meetings took place involving Chairperson Ethicon and several commissioners. At the center of the discussion was the future of CEO Marjan Hussein Marjan. These were not routine performance reviews. They were difficult conversations about trust, institutional direction, and leadership alignment. Then the negotiations and legal counsel. Marjan did not leave abruptly. Negotiations were held, lawyers were consulted. The CEO sought assurances that any exit would be structured, lawful, and framed as mutual rather than punitive. For commissioners, the priority was institutional stability, especially with the 2027 election clock ticking. Then we're looking at the exit, and a night that changed IEBC on the night of February 3rd, 2026, following a decisive meeting of commissioners. Marjan Hussein Marjan agreed to leave office before the end of his contract. IEBC announced that the departure was by mutual agreement, emphasizing dignity, continuity, and respect for service rendered. Then the public announcement and immediate reaction. The announcement sent shockwaves through political circles and newsrooms. Supporters described it as a bold reset. Critics questioned timing, transparency, and motive. Social media buzzed with speculation, while legal analysts dissected the implications of removing a CEO mid-term. Then we're looking at the Chairperson Ethecon's defense. Now, Chairperson Ethicon moved quickly to calm tensions. He defended Marjan's record, praised his long service, and urged Kenyans not to interpret the exit as evidence of institutional collapse. His message was clear. IEBC was restructuring, not crumbling. Then the political fountains. Opposition figures expressed concern, some threatening court action, decisions taken under Marjan's tenure, and government allies largely backed the commission, calling the change necessary for reform. And once again, IEBC found itself at the intersection of law, politics, and public trust. Today, IEBC, and where things stand as of today, IEBC is preparing to appoint an acting CEO. Recruitment for substantive replacement is expected. Voter registration reforms continue. Boundary review debates remain unsolved. The institution is functioning, but under scrutiny. What this means for 2027. Now, the coming months will determine whether Marjan's exit strengthens or weakens IEBC. If reforms translate into efficiency and transparency, public confidence may rebound. If instability persists, the 2027 elections could face credibility challenges. IEBC's action now will shape Kenya's democratic trajectory. Then the conclusion. This is a democracy on watch. This is not just a story about one chairperson or CEO. It is a story about an institution carrying the weight of a nation's democratic ops. As Kenya watches, the IEBC must prove that leadership change can mean renewal, not regression. The countdown to 2027 has begun, and the referee is once again under the microscope as the IEBC moves from uncertainty toward resolution. This transition will be judged not by promises made, but by confidence restored. The decision takes now all leads, all reforms implemented, and our accountability is upheld, will shape public trust in the commission long after this moment passes. From vacuum to verdict, the true test lies in whether the IEBC can turn transition into transformation and reaffirm its place as the guardian of Kenya's democratic process. This is the IEBC transition from vacuum to verdict. Then we're coming up shortly with what's happened from Marjan to the next commissioner. Moses Ledama Sunguli has been appointed as the Acting Chief Executive Officer and Commission Secretary of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission following the departure of Marjan Hussein Marjan. The IEBC announced on 5th February 2026 that Sunguli, who was previously the Commission's Director of Electoral Operations, will take over leadership of the electoral body with immediate effect. In the official statement, IEBC Chairperson Erastus Edung Edekon said Sunguli brings extensive experience and internal institutional knowledge to the role and will serve in an acting capacity for up to 6 months or until a substantive CEO is appointed. The move is intended to ensure continuity in the Commission's work, particularly as it prepares for key electoral processes while a competitive recruitment process for a permanent leader is fast-tracked. Sunguli's promotion comes at a critical time for Kenya's electoral management ahead of the 2027 general elections, reinforcing the Commission's operational stability during the transition. Before this appointment, Sunguli was responsible for overseeing electoral operations, a core area that includes planning, coordination and execution of elections, voter registration and logistics. This deep institutional experience positions him to maintain service delivery and uphold electoral integrity during the interim period. The IEBC has emphasized that Sunguli's leadership will help sustain the organization's mandate while it finalizes the search for a substantive chief executive officer and commission secretary. Now, that is the IEBC transition from vacuum to the verdict. Now, coming up next is JKS Thursdays with me, Jeffrey Kimaiyu, Somba JKS, and the sign language interpreter will be or is Laura Omonti. And moving on, the committee defends Auto Raila 10-point agenda, criticizes Sifuna over evidence of implementation. The committee tasked with implementing the 10-point agenda agreed upon between President William Ruto and the late former ODM leader Raila Odinga has strongly defended its performance after being criticized by ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna. Speaking at a launch over citizen engagement exercise in Kisumu, the committee blamed Sifuna for failing to consult them before releasing statements that they described as very strong and potentially undermining the work carried out so far. In an interview with Runinga Moja, Sifuna criticized the committee for failing to provide concrete evidence on implementation of the 10 agreed points, which include tackling corruption, promoting inclusion, and compensating victims of demonstrations, and called on the nation to address these issues.
Goes to the media and says they have done this committee zero. He rated us zero. It's very unfortunate. A senior member of ODM, the Secretary General of ODM, and instead of guiding and supporting this process, because we are doing this work for Kenyans.
Do not listen to any other imposter, any other idler, any other person who has given themselves the responsibility of taking charge of our jobs. This job was given to us by the two principals themselves, and they are the only ones who retains the sole mandate to talk to us about that, the functions of the committee.
So even as we proceed to Singapore through Malaysia, let us also build Kenya to the point that even those countries can begin to admire. We have the capacity. We might just need to coordinate a little bit more. We might have to bring into face the sink and the psyche that we have as Kenyans to get there.
And TVET reforms aim to enhance practical skills for youth, and the Statement Department for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, TVET, has announced key reforms under the TVET modularization program. Principal Secretary Dr. Esther Moria confirmed that TVET training is now fully competency-based and delivered through short 3-month modules. The reforms aim to equip students with hands-on skills, shifting from purely theoretical learning to practical training. So far, the initiative has trained 1,500 solar installation technicians and established practical training centers, including Hairdressing Institute in Kibra.
Examining of our students is formative. It is not summative. We are saying that if we are training you to do bricklaying, for example, we will observe you and check that you can do absolute bricklaying as you do it, and we declare you competent in bricklaying. What we are interested in is ensuring that if the young people have the skill, they can be able to do what it is that they are required to do. 1.5 months is enough to train the technicians for solar installation, and they are doing the solar installation here now. And the fee itself in the TVET space, we want to make it very clear this morning that it was capped at 35,000 for all the students, whatever course they are taking.
And pressure mounts on former Governor Songa over corruption case, and former Nairobi Governor Mike Songa Bovi has claimed that some powerful individuals are involved in 20 million corruption case. While giving testimony in court, Songa said the charges were initiated by influential people, with some senior officials allegedly threatening him when he opposed illegal land misappropriation, particularly in public schools. He also claimed that these individuals attempted to involve senior county officials by offering bribes of up to 5 million each to enable the illegal land deals, and that they visited his office demanding 8 million, a proposal he rejected before reporting the matter to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
These clips, Your Honor, which I'm about to play, and materials, Your Honor, will confirm that my actions were never motivated by malice, Your Honor, personal gain, or political expediency, but by a genuine commitment to protect public resources, fight corruption, defend the rule of law, and uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
And on a different story, President William Ruto has urged young people to be cautious when participating in politics, noting that political environments include various risks, including ethnic discrimination. He spoke during the distribution of the Nyota Fund in Kilifi County. Each beneficiary will receive 50,000 in 2 installments. In the first phase, beneficiaries will receive 25,000, of which 22,000 shillings will be deposited directly into their digital wallet to support small businesses, while 3,000 will be placed into a small savings account managed by the National Social Security Fund, NSSF.
Siasa imetusumbua miaka nyingi. Siasa inaendeshwa kwa mirengo, kwa ubaguzi, kwa ukabila, kwa mambo ambayo yanatenga Wakenya wengine. Na ndio tumekubaliana safari hii. Mimi nilitoa ahadi. Wengine walikuwa wanasema huyu Ruto anasema uongo. Muko hapa leo ama hamuko? Hii pia ni uongo.
Kwa mapenzi yenyu. Ila sivyo, hii bidii yote ambayo rais ametuletea haitafua dafu. Kwa hivyo kwangu na kwa viongozi hao wamesimama hapa, tunataka tuwasihi vijana, msitubwage. Pesa hii ambayo mnapatiwa hivi leo na mtaendelea kupatiwa, muitumie kwa ujasiri ili itupatie zile kazi na kuzalisha na kukuza uchumi wa eneo hili letu.
Wakati tunaamini kazi ni kazi. Kazi kwa ground ni kazi. Kazi mtandaoni ni kazi. Kazi majuu ni kazi. Kazi ya biashara ya Nyota ni kazi. Ni kweli si kweli? Kwa hivyo mimi nimefurahi sana kwa sababu hii ndio itatusaidia tupanue uchumi wetu.
The race community achieved a historic legal victory against the government regarding the declaration of a large area in Baringo County as a forest, a decision that also affected land protecting the Romoru Primary School, which had been demolished by the Kenya Forest Service last month. In a ruling delivered by Judge Millicent Odeni of Nakuru Environment and Land Court, the court found that the process leading to the arable area declaration as a forest violated the Constitution and law by failing to properly involve the public.
After reviewing the evidence that was presented to us by our client, we were convinced that we could make a case that there was no public participation. That was issue number one. Number two was that there was no adequate consultation with the National Land Commission as required in the process of taking over community land and making it public land.
What the court has ruled is what we had actually prayed for, that the land be decassated and it should be returned back to the community. And I think that is what the court has said. What we only want to request is that whatever the court has ruled, we want the government of the day to implement fully.
Tunaambia hao wachamaa wale walihusika na hiyo maneno ya kustaki sisi ya kwamba nyinyi mkubali muridike kwa kesi ile imetupwa kwa kotini. Kwa hivyo sasa nyinyi muridike na musikilize mambo ya court. Kwa hivyo sasa nyinyi wenyewe lazima muridike na mulipe sisi karama ya hiyo hasara mumetupatia sisi.
Maternal and child health care services in Siaya County are expected to improve following the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the county government and the non-government organization Loala Community Alliance. The organization's chief executive officer Julius Mbeya said they have allocated 150 million to fund the installation of essential equipment in all public health facilities in Siaya County with the aim of reducing maternal deaths during childbirth by approximately 70%. The 5-year agreement will also facilitate training for healthcare workers on innovative material care methods. And Siaya County Governor James Orengo praised the agreement, saying it will help lower medical costs in the county and called on more donors to come forward and support the health sector.
Our work is mainly at health facilities addressing the leading killers of women and newborns, and that is called emergency obstetric and newborn care. And we deploy a technology they are called non-pneumatic anti-shock garment, which is applied when a woman is bleeding after birth, and it has been proven to reduce maternal deaths by more than 70%. This is a partnership, and so Loala is putting resources, the county is putting resources too. One of those practical things is that we will deploy about 388 non-pneumatic anti-shock garments in all health facilities offering deliveries across here.
Mothers play a very important role in communities and in families. So looking after our mothers and children is really taking care of communities. Part of the solution that we want to discuss with the Alliance is on health governance. Our health facilities, beginning from dispensaries, depend on outcomes in terms of deliveries, on how they are managed.
And on a sad note, the death of Kakamega Homeboyz footballer Silas Abugana has taken a shocking turn after his family confirmed that he was allegedly killed by his 21-year-old younger brother, Denmark Mushiti. Speaking to the media and Shinyalu police station, the family said the two brothers were involved in a serious conflict during which Mushiti struck Silas on the head with a blunt object. Silas passed away around 1 a.m. while receiving treatment at the Kakamega County Referral Hospital. Confirming the incident, Shinyalu OCPD Daniel Mukumbu said the suspect had fled the scene and police have launched a manhunt. The body is preserved at the hospital mortuary as investigations continue.
Walipofurukana walianzia kwa msichana ambayo kijana Cyrus anaishi naye. Cyrus ambaye ameaka. Msichana alikuja katika jikoni akapata shemeji yake. Wakati anaomba moto, shemeji akamjulisha hapana, akamcorrect hapana. Wewe unaomba moto na muko na kasi. Si wewe ndo hakisha kasi. Na muendelee. Sasa mbona unakuja kuomba moto na yako na kanyumba katoko? Kadaleta moshi. Aliporudi kwake aliambia Cyrus na akatoka kwa hasira akakata waya ile ambaye inapeleka taa kwa huyo kijana akiwa ndani ya nyumba. Alipotoka nje alipata Cyrus, akamuuliza ni kwa nini unafanya hivi. Kijana rudi kwa nyumba, akachukua muti ambaye ni rungu, akamkonga kwa kichwa mahali hapa.
So far hatujashika, lakini tuko na familia hapa wao, sababu ni jambo ambayo ilifanyika kwa family. Lakini baadhi ya family members, isipokuwa tunaambiwa kijana yule mwenye alimpiga alitoroka, lakini bado tunamfuatia.
Jomvu MP Badi Talib has called on the national government to urgently recruit more teachers to address a severe shortage in county schools. Talib warned that the shortage could undermine efforts to achieve a 100% transition rate and the new education system. Speaking during a scholarship distribution event, he urged immediate government intervention. And moving on, Mwenge North MP Paul Nzengu has called on the national government to ensure fairness in the allocation of public resources, saying that current distribution is inequitable. Speaking during a public meeting in Kiuso, Nzengu urged the residents to support Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka in his political efforts.
Lakini mimi kama mbunge wa Mwingi North, hawa mama wananipigia simu kila siku. Wananiambia mheshimiwa, tunasikia kuna barua umepewa. Mimi wala sijapata barua moja. Lakini watu wa kutoka Rift Valley unasikia mtu anasema hapo na barua 10-20. Kwani Kenya ni ya watu fulani? Si ni yetu wote? Mbona kama wanapewa waheshimiwa wasinipea hata mimi nipewe watu wangu? Ama namna gani? Lakini kwa sababu wako kwa kiti saa hii, ile siku tutachukua kiti hata mimi nitafanya hivi. Kwani na mimi sitakuwa naenda kwa Kalonzo kwa sababu atakuwa mtu mkubwa sana. Mimi nitakuwa naenda kwa waziri, namwambia Kalonzo ameniambia nipe nafasi 500. Analetea. Hawezi kuniuliza, atapigia Kalonzo amuulize. Lakini haifai hivyo. Nitafanya hivyo kwa sababu ya hasira. Inafaa kama ni Kenya, kila keki inakatiwa kila mwananchi wa Kenya. Kila region, ikiwe ni opposition, ikiwe ni ya serikali.
That story brings JKS Thursdays to a short break. We're coming back. Stay around. Welcome back to JKS Thursdays. Remember, you can join this conversation through our social media platforms, that is EBN TV all across. Our SMS line is always 23059. Just to remind you, my name is Jeffrey Kimaiyu Somba. My sign language interpreter is Laura Omonti. Moving on all the way to Kirinyaga, the Kirinyaga County government has launched a program distributing sanitary pads in education institutions to enable girls to stay in school during menstruation. Statistics indicate that 3 out of 10 girls miss school during their period. In the first phase, 3,173 girls from 20 schools received pads, and Gender Officer Sheila Mangi said the initiative aims to remove barriers preventing girls from attending school uninterrupted.
Mwaka huu tumeweka pesa milioni 30 ambazo zitakuwa zikitumika kusaidia vijana, kina mama na pia persons with disability na wengineo ambao wale tunaita vulnerable and common interest groups.
And I really appreciate the pads that we've been given to our girls, especially during this time when parents are really crying that they don't have money. I know it will go far. Majority of them now will stay in school and will continue to cover the syllabus, and the curriculum will go on well.
Led by Our Excellency Governor Ann Mumbi Waiguru, we want to really appreciate on behalf of Kutus Comprehensive School because of this kind gesture that they have done to our girls today. It will be a memorable moment because you are not only taking care of their health, but their comfort here at school and back at home. We want to thank you because of the good work that you are doing to the Kirinyaga people and the citizens at large.
We've gone to 20 schools across Kirinyaga County in various wards. The essence of this exercise is to curb the sanitary pads issue, especially in the poverty pockets in the schools that we have in Kirinyaga. The essence is also to ensure that no girl child is left behind, especially during their menses.
And more than 140,000 residents are expected to benefit from food aid amid the ongoing drought. The supplies, which arrived on Wednesday, include 2 trucks as part of a larger shipment of dry food, rice and beans. And speaking during the distribution event, Isiolo County Commissioner David Kiprop said the 2 trucks are part of the fleet of 15 delivering the aid.
Sababu ya dharura tukasema vile tuko na ukame inasumbua watu na bado kuna insecurity imeinterrupt livelihoods ya kila mtu, tupewe chakula special consignment ambayo itaenda kwa the 10 wards isaidie watu.
Of course there are wards that are a lot more adversely affected than others. When relief food committees meet, they will be able to do an assessment, because obviously there are certain areas of our county that are a lot more affected than others. But on average, between 2,500 to 3,000 households are going to receive this food.
Around districts, not traders at Roy Market along Kangunde Road estimate heavy losses after the market was demolished early in the morning by personnel reportedly linked to the Kenya National Highways Authority, KENHA. Traders blocked the road to protest the county government's failure to construct a promised new market. They have called on Governor Sakaja to intervene and provide a permanent solution.
So wamama wa hii soko wote wanahangaika sana, kila wakati ni kulia, tunapigwa matiagas, watoto hawajaenda shule, tumeamkia huku ndio tunapata jasho yetu ndio inatusomesha watoto, lakini unaona shida ndio mingi. So sisi tunasema hivi, leo ikifika jioni tukue tumeambiwa tunaenda wapi, soko iko wapi, soko kamili iko wapi, ama tumechoka. So sisi hatutoki hapa ndio tunajua tunauzia, wateja wetu wengi wako huku Ruai, kwa hivyo tupangwe vizuri, hatutoki kama hatujapangwa, period.
Kuna wakora walikuwa wakiuza wakateka over, tukamwambia wananchi wa soko ya Ruai wajakataa kuenda bypass, ende uchukue wale wakora utoe, ili wa mama wa soko waende wale walitoa pesa. Hivyo ndio tuliongea na yeye jana, lakini kuanzia saa 6:30 leo hakuna soko Ruai. Ninastuka sana, askari wakiitwa kutupiga tiagas wanaitika, lakini wakiitwa waenda kusika wakora hawaendi. So kuanzia leo, kama hiyo ndio soko ya Ruai, sisi hatutoki hapa mpaka tupangwe vizuri.
And that story from Ruai Market wraps up the JKS Thursday. Thank you for watching, and for the team that has made this a success, to the interpretation team also, we want to thank you so much for following our bulletins and our programs. From here, Jeffrey Kimaiyu, Somba, JKS, I wish you a good night.